Sydney is breathing a little easier. Australia's biggest city has survived a day of catastrophic bushfire danger relatively unscathed. In the past few hours, a southerly weather change has moved through much of New South Wales, including Sydney, dropping temperatures dramatically. While the cooler conditions are welcome, strong winds could actually make things worse. Away from Sydney, other parts of New South Wales and Queensland are still under threat.
We're still a long way from being out of the woods on this one, and the front, which is coming up along the southern coast of New South Wales, will be making up through those areas that have been deemed catastrophic today.
At the height of today's emergency, bushfires reached the Sydney suburb of Turramurra just 30 minutes from the CBD. 2 emergency warnings had to be issued. The flames damaged one home before fire services water-bombed the area and dropped fire retardant. Health authorities had urged those with respiratory issues to stay indoors. And around 600 schools and colleges were closed across the state, while at least 9 public schools had to be evacuated. Our correspondent Roger Maynard, he's in Sydney and joins us live right now. Roger, so residents, they were warned to expect the worst, but how bad has it been?
Well, Glenda, they predicted this would be a day of catastrophic conditions, and certainly looking at the pictures and reading the reports coming out of so many areas of the eastern seaboard of Australia, that view appears to have been confirmed. From here in Sydney right up to the Queensland border, there have been reports of destruction, injury, heroism and extraordinary feats of firefighting too. Here in Sydney, a big blaze broke out in the suburb of Turramurra, which is barely half an hour's drive from the harbour bridge. The emergency services were onto that blaze within a few minutes, and they managed to divert a Hercules aircraft to fly over the area with fire retardant, pink fire retardant, which they used to douse the flames most successfully. There were fires in other suburbs and west of the Blue Mountains. Further north, at least 3 homes were lost near the town of Turramurra, as hot, dry and windy conditions there only added to the problems. And there were also fires reported in the Hunter Valley, the famous wine-growing area. Authorities have listed 11 new emergency fire warnings today in New South Wales, where more than 70 blazes are still burning, many of them still out of control.
Roger, are conditions expected to get worse from here, or is there any sign of perhaps some improvement in the weather conditions?
Steve, I have to say it's not looking good. We've had a strong southerly wind gusting up to 90 kilometres an hour hit Sydney this evening. The Rural Fire Service warned that conditions will only worsen as the fierce winds become more consistent. The worry is that existing fires will be blown in different directions, making it almost impossible for firefighters to control the flames. It's the first time, of course, that Greater Sydney, which is home to 5 million people, has been warned of a catastrophic fire threat. That classification's only been around for the past 10 years. And in common with all the doom and gloom we're hearing out of Australia today, this evening much of Sydney has been enveloped in a thick cloud of dust and smoke as countless fires, or the smoke from countless fires, settle over this city. Tomorrow is expected to be cooler, and even tonight it's several degrees cooler, but there could also be major challenges for the as the bushfires continue to burn, and no one, quite honestly, no one really knows where all this is going to end.
All right, well, thank you very much for getting us up to speed with the developments. Roger Maynard speaking to us from Sydney.